Mitchin.
Welcome back. It's been a year.
It's been a hot freaking moment.
So some of you may be shocked by the see this, and by some of you I mean one person or two.
Hello.
and it is Scream. We were watching Scream, and of course we did a commentary on it before already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look, my subtitles are on.
Oh, well, it'll make it easier to watch to a degree.
Actually, yeah. That's probably from last time, so. But yeah, no, I decided that since we have much better equipment, much better sound design, and I've spent an entire year learning it, relearning and learning a bunch of new things.
Yeah.
I said, hey, one of the things we should do, because that Scream 6 is coming out, I hated Scream 5, but it was like, why don't we watch all the Scream movies?
And just powerhouse
through all of them and get to Scream 6. So we're going to watch Scream 1, Scream 2, Scream 3, Scream 4, Scream, and then Scream 6, which I'm convinced Scream 5, aka Scream, will be renamed Scream 5 in a further repackaging of the movie.
Yeah. Kind of like Star Wars stuff.
Like what they did with Live, Die, Repeat.
Yeah.
It was like, all you need is kill, then it was Edge of Tomorrow, then it was Live, Die, Repeat, because it was such a popular tag. And I was like, ugh. It will always be... It will never die. It will always be Edge of Tomorrow for me, though. That's a good Tom Cruise movie. Anyway, going away from Tom Cruise, so we've got here, yet again, as we've mentioned before a year ago, Drew Barrymore in her famous cameo scene.
Yep.
Resonating. I always thought that this was kind of like resonating back to Psycho.
Yeah, so I was going to say Psycho, right? Yep.
Yeah. And everything like that. So it's like you bring in the big actress.
Big name you think's going to be the lead.
Gone immediately.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I think in the trailer it also showcased, I think it gave it away that it was like she is dead.
The victim.
But she's right on the fucking cover. So I would only assume that people would have thought she would have been in it for a certain amount of time. But she's just gone.
Yeah, no, she gets got in the opening.
But you know what? It's great because it's like you never forget this scene. The scene is classic.
Yeah, it's iconic, just like Psycho with the blood in the shower.
That was the way that Alfred Hitchcock pitched it. He's just like, you're only going to be in the movie for 40 minutes, but you'll be the thing that everybody talks about, But he said it with his kind of fat slur of diabetes. Like, you'll be the thing they all talk about when you get stabbed in the shower.
Money.
And the movie money's flow. And no one will be allowed in the theater the moment it starts.
Now go drown for me, peasant.
Yeah. Now get the chocolate syrup out of my hand and put it in the scene. Hashtag fat shaming.
Oh, God.
So awful. Yeah, no, so... Drew Barrymore was kind of like the teenage heartthrob in the 90s. I was born 94.
I like her, but I'm a little after that, right? I'm 1997,
yeah.
So...
I never was a fan of E.T., so I never had her in that era. Firestarter I saw when I was years later, decades after this movie. And then when I saw this, I was just like, who the fuck is that? And I was like, oh, it's Alex from Charlie's Angels.
Yeah, I was going to say, Charlie's Angels is where I remember her first, at least in memory-wise.
Yeah, that's what I had. I love the voice of Ghostface. I like how that hasn't changed throughout it. They always use the same kind of
the raspy. Yeah.
It's like an actual guy who does the voice of it, who is famous. He does tons of voice work. I can't remember his name. But
dude, are we going to get into sauce about voice work? No, I'm not going to get into it because this will be like Rick and Morty. They're recasting. I want to know who the hell they're going to cast for that. Sorry, you got me on that.
Well, my friend Andrew, my friend and lover Andrew, but my friend Andrew and I, we were talking about, because we met up, talking about other things that we want to do this year, which, by the way, we'll have probably a big meeting at some point. But we were talking about that, and he sent me a clip of some dude who was really good at doing the impersonations.
Yeah, I was going to say, was it the impersonator guy going around on TikTok who perfect?
And he's just like, just because I can do them doesn't mean I actually do them. And I was just like, they should just cast that guy.
They did that for Family Guy for Cleveland, so they may as well for Rick and Morty, or they can make a good gag out of it too.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think Justin Roiland's the writer for it, and he's not.
No.
He's just a voice actor, talented, but a monster. So.
He's like in charge of certain aspects of it, but mostly it's been given to many people. I think, personally, I think they should just cancel at this point. I've been telling you for the past 2 years that the next season they do should be the last. And the next season they do.
Should nail and then go, but I don't know now.
I guess Adult Swim is contractual binded to do 10 seasons of it, but if you're losing your creator, that to me it's like a 50-50 split. It could either lead it in a direction that's new and fresh, that is like fun, and then it's like cool, 3 seasons of a completely
Something
different
new.
thing, and then you're excited about that. Or it's going to be them desperately trying to do the same thing again and again and again, and then it will fail. It won't even probably get past season 8. Like it'll be like the X-Files. We're in like those final 2 seasons.
It really hinges
like,
on the ability for Dan, because he's the co-creator, to keep going, and he's got the best episodes. So I don't have a doubt, but they really got to knock it out of the ballpark. And it's shitty because season 7's already pretty much done up, right? So I don't know what the hell they're going to do with that now either.
Well, they're going to definitely keep his stuff. There's no way, for money reasons,
because they paid for it all. It's all done.
They're going to
I don't know.
Not do that.
I'm curious what they're going to do.
I'm going to say that like when they do the next seasons and everything like that, they're going to try to do it in saving as much money as humanly possible and trying to replicate that nothing has changed.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to do.
And then season 8, I think, is going to be the flip about on that whole thing.
They're really going to try to make it seem like he was not as important as fans make him seem out to be.
Yeah.
And then that's the goal really that you want to do. You want to separate it and then jump that direction so that you can cleanse yourself of whatever that is.
I would love to just see a gag of they either this Rick loses his voice and they go through a bunch of different stuff, or they just kill Rick and Morty and it's a new timeline. It's like this explains exactly why there's slight differences, different Rick and Morty.
Rick gets throat cancer.
Yeah, that's very just something really funny as a gag like that. Holy shit, would that kill me?
See, if I was the producer of it, like an executive that was looking to save as much money as possible, I would literally say, I'm like, get me the best Rick and Morty impersonator you can and try to make him non-union so that we can exploit him. We would sign him into the next 3 seasons, pay him literally pennies. Like literally, I would pay him as little as humanly possible. And I'd say like, it's your chance to have your big break into Hollywood and everything like that.
I was going to say, and then go for that whole thing.
It sounds super, to the audience out there, all 5 of you, it sounds super sleazy and shitty, but the thing is, with Adult Swim, there are benefits that can come out of it for a 3-year contract for this guy, and then that guy can, if he's clever enough, use it to his advantage to get other jobs through Adult Swim.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially
re-sign.
if it's a smaller name, that you've just made yourself into a household. If this is all successful, that's the gambit with it.
Exactly. And then you can, and then after that 3, and be like, and as an actor or a voice talent, be like, really like, you know, like they would want to bring you back. So like kind of showcase that like you can also do a lot of other types of voices, do other things, do all this stuff. And then when your contract is getting ready to expire and they're going to move on from Rick and Morty, really push to try and get signed into another
Build a franchise.
few seasons.
You could literally pull what Roiland pulled, making a game company and all that. You would have the clout. Also, sorry, going back to the movie, I love the practical effects for his guts in that scene. It's so awesome.
I was going to interrupt myself and say cool. But like, yeah, the practical effects in this movie, of course,
are so good.
Everything about it's good. And also like going back to the movie and getting away from the Rick and Morty stuff.
Sorry, we're talking about that. It's like, recent events.
We're talking about it for 10 hours. But yeah, no, it was just something I found interesting and stuff. But the one thing with this movie is like, once again, Wes Craven is like, he's a master of horror, but I always said he was like a master of suspense. He was really good at like building suspense in a scene. And he just like that scene right there, if you were like focused into the movie, that chair would scare the living shit out of you.
It's a good, correction. It's a good jump scare.
Yeah. It's done 5 minutes of build up. Yeah. To get you to that
tension
point,
release so that you jump, and then he rebuilds it up beautifully.
Yeah, exactly, and it keeps pumping you with it. And it's just a well-crafted, for a movie that's supposed to be a satire on horror films.
Yeah.
It's amazing how masterclass of like how to build tension this opening is.
To do good satire, though, you really have to understand and love what you're making fun of.
There's like that, I believe it's a saying, or I just say it, but I always say, I'm just like, when one goes to make a satire film, it needs to be the best of the genre it's making fun of.
It's like Princess Bride or Cabin in the Woods. You just get these apex.
Or RoboCop.
Yes,
RoboCop is a satire, and it's
RoboCop,
like literally like
creme
one of the
creme.
best fucking action movies ever made. You know, it's perfect. Or Starship Troopers, or really anything Paul Verhoeven does.
Another one that I know wouldn't be Last Action Hero. I fucking adore that movie. It's like a perfect action movie. And
going on to the Last Action Hero for 1 second here. It's directed by the guy who did Die Hard. Now, this guy's in jail.
Yeah.
But like, that guy was a master, like he made like mastercraft action movies, and The Last Action Hero is I like that it's getting more of an appreciation.
Yeah.
But it's such a fun fucking movie.
It's awesome.
And I don't understand why people in the 90s and 80s did not understand
the
satire
joke of it. It's so meta, and it was one of Arnie's last films too. It's crazy.
Especially when RoboCop was so successful.
I know.
And it just makes me think that they didn't get it. You know, they just loved that it was a good action movie.
It's like Starship Troopers, I guess,
That's
where
the big
you don't quite get the joke.
Never understood that. So you're gonna get stabbed right in the belly. I always like, just like we were talking about, like Scary Movie and Scream always blend together. And I think it's because I first saw Scary Movie
first.
And whenever I see that scene, it always just reminds me of her getting stabbed in the breast, and then the breast implant comes out. Yeah,
the thing is, too, is the first Scary Movie is done so well that, like, it's hard to separate the two when you're thinking about it. Or is it Scary Movie 2 they do the opening gag? No, it's...
No. Scary Movie 1 is
It is
Scream.
The first one. It's Scream. Second one's the stupid haunted house one.
Yeah, Scary Movie 2, the opening is the amazing Exorcist opening with James Woods.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like the greatest thing ever.
Oh, God, yeah, I remember. I'm getting all those movies mixed up now.
Well, they're all the same, basically.
They are.
They're not highbrow.
Also, her getting hit by a car in Scary Movie is also hilarious.
Oh, yeah. I wish they kept that motif. Well, they kind of did. They kept it in a way, so... with them getting hit by cars, it's just it became less and less funny.
Yeah,
you know, like it was funny when in the ending of the first one, I thought it was fucking hilarious in the ending of the second one because it's really cartoonish.
Yeah,
like Handsome's like in the and like dressed up like a hot dog stand guy, and he's just like, yeah, and then he gets smashed by a car and goes flying in the air.
Yeah,
like, and then it shows Shorty getting head from the ghost. Like, it's really funny.
It's 3, I think, is the one where the kid keeps
he gets
murdered.
like
that one. But that one is because it's a joke they keep repeating.
Yeah,
and I think that's why I like it so much when they did that. Yeah. But I think after 3 is when it really staled out.
That third one has some funny shit.
The third one's my favorite.
The third one got some funny shit in it.
And Leslie Nielsen is a huge reason why he's fucking god tier, and he's in it so there's such a small part, but so many good jokes with him.
Well, there's that, and the fact that like it's a Zucker Brothers film. So, well, I don't know if it's a Zucker Brothers film, but it's one of the Zucker Brothers. He came back and directed it, and it has that feel. It's not as good as their original stuff, but it's funny. There's something about it that's really legitimately funny.
Of just hilariousness to it.
It's like a legitimately funny shit in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
This is a great shot here because like showing her hung like that.
Yeah.
Because it's legitimately creepy looking. And then if they didn't do like the speed up, push in and everything for that intensity, you could, if you just held on it, had like modern day atmospheric kind of like subtle like music in it, and they showed that from afar, that would be like a legit. You wouldn't even need a sting. The way it looks and the way it's framed,
it's shocking.
It's legitimately creepy.
Kind of reminds me of one of my favorite scenes in Stranger Things is in the first episode ever is when you see the Demogorgon in the field in the window in the background. Same energy. It's subtle but terrifying.
That subtlety of it. I know you didn't like the movie as much, but the dark what is it called? The Dark and the Wicked, the one on the farmhouse.
Yeah. Well, it just. The payoff wasn't quite there for me.
The guy, if you haven't seen The Dark and the Wicked, I highly recommend it. It's directed by the director of Strangers, the first one, not the second one. And it's got that same type of like subtlety. Like it's just very calm. And there's a scene where the male character in it, the lead, is like in a room, and they kind of just looks out the window, and then just in the distance you see
and that
his
scene's
mother.
awesome.
That scene's great. That scene's creepy as fuck, and it did an excellent job in that.
The whole build-up of the movie I really like, but I just didn't care. The payoff for me fell flat.
You know, I rewatched it this Halloween season, or last Halloween season or whatever. I rewatched it, and it was still effective to me. But I get what you mean about the ending a bit more. Yeah. I just found the whole movie really effective. So, like, to me, I kind of, it can be forgiven. Because it does scare me. And I bought it. Like, I spent $30 and bought the damn movie.
I don't think it's terrible. It's just the payoff wasn't there for me. That's my takeaway on it. I really like the build-up, and then it just, for me, it fell flat.
Mm-hmm. So, one thing that's going on with, like, the new Scream movie and then what they did in the 5 is, like, Billy there is the new main character.
All right.
It's supposed to be like his daughter. And in the events of this movie, at one point when they break up later on the film, it's established that like he would have gone and slept like with other ladies and got one of them pregnant. And I was just like, no. Like, you know what? I'm like, no,
he's obsessed.
He's obsessed. He's obsessed with her. There's no fucking way he would have done it.
Doing that.
And there's no way. It was such a cop-out to me. It felt incorrect, and it almost lessens, if you think of it that way, it lessens his obsession.
Yeah, because his whole thing is about obsession in this movie. So for him to do that,
I don't even think like in the thought of a psychopath, I don't even think he'd be able to get a boner with any other girl because he's so fixated on her.
Okay.
I legitimately don't think he would.
Berserk, Griffith does that by thinking of guts and being petty hoe about it, because Griffith is obsessed with guts, right? But this isn't nuanced enough for me to think that they would do something like that.
This isn't high art.
Actually,
it kind of is.
There's a lot of nuances that I don't think they would have done that. Like, the way this character's made, it's not like that.
No, he's supposed to just be like your go-to psychopath. Yeah. He's obsessed with her. Yeah, so, you know, and I think that's also why he's so, in this movie, he's desperately trying to get her to lose her virginity, and it's because he can't kill the virgin.
No, she has to be soiled. It's that classic sacrifice trope.
I really like that stuff. Between that aspect and then the Sigourney Weaver cameo at the end of Cabin in the Woods, where it's just like the virgin, and she's just like, I'm not virgin. It's like, we're God.
Exactly.
I was like, I love that. I love that as a statement of like how time has changed. That's also why I always say that like religion in the next 100 years is probably really closely to, like, not totally factored out, but it will definitely be a much lower representation, especially more so in Western civilization. Because I'm like, you can just see how over 100 years, religion has just really kind of in the public eye got a bad rap. And it's just like, the more and more people do not want to be religious. So they show more skin. They go against those old-timey rules and everything like that.
Yeah.
It's the times have changed. And I just think more and more and more.
All's going through my head is the news article after the stupid radiation capsule, like the tiny thing fell out.
No.
I started looking into that. And one of the fail-safes in the future, if civilization goes to dark age, they've already built a religion about nuclear fallout and where the waste sites are, and they're considered like taboo stuff. In the theoretical future, where it's like, well, if everything gets left behind, like forgotten, ruined, and ash, and they find a Bible, it's about like this where not to go and stuff. It's like, oh my God, they made a fucking like Mad Max nuclear religion as a failsafe. Are you shitting me? Some bunker in the States has that, eh? It's like a nuclear Bible.
Not even a surprise at this point.
You just reminded me of that. Speaking of religion,
anything can be a religion. Fuck, if Mr.ozProductions becomes successful enough, there will be a religion
of it.
I guarantee you.
Well, that's why World's Greatest Dad's one of my fucking favorite movies of all times. That's pretty much what it is to a
so
T.
Goddamn accurate. Actually, in its own fucked up way, any movie that becomes a cult classic is religious.
Yeah.
The Big Lebowski, there was like a legitimate...
There's actually a religion about it. Yeah.
Legitimately a religion about it.
So it's a thing.
I really like the music. So the one thing about Scream that like nobody ever thinks about is the music of it. And I don't know if they ever use it again, but like in the main menu and what we just heard there, that kind of like, it's not operatic, but it kind of is. It's like that chant, that kind of go with that like synthesized kind of like technical like sound. I love that. I think it's great.
We need more of it.
Yeah. And if in this new fucking one, the 6th one, where and if you go back, if you can bear it, if you go back and watch the original Scream commentary we have on the channel, you will hear me pitch my idea, I believe, of what I want Scream 6 to be, or what I thought Scream 5 should be.
Yeah.
Where it was like they go to the city or they go out of Westboro and then they kind of like find a cult and everything. That is what 6 is. And when I saw the trailer for it, I immediately was like, okay, I can't believe I'm going to say this because I didn't like the 5th one, but we're going to go see that. And I did get the Cineplex membership thing.
Oh, sweet. All right.
Because every month I get a free movie ticket that's for 2 people.
Oh,
so it works perfectly.
I need to look into that.
Yeah, $9.99, but you can do $115 for the entire year. I looked into it. I've already seen 5 movies this month. Huh. I'm like, it's already going to pay for its fucking self.
Wow.
You get discounts on popcorn, all this other shit, whatever. This is a promotion. 20 minutes in, let's talk about our paid sponsor.
Yeah.
Cineplex.
Stonks.
I wish.
That would
if
be
Cineplex actually sponsors us, I'd be so happy. They wouldn't even have to give me money. They could just give me like literally just here's like 1 year of free tickets. I'd be like, King, you've saved me. They would save me.
Here's 1 movie ticket. You son of a bitch, I'm in.
Yeah. Would you like 10% off your popcorn? Fucking, I'll sign a 10-year contract. You know,
for 10% off.
Yeah, no,
perfect.
It'd be amazing. But like, yeah, with that new one, it is going to be a cult. Like it's making it look like a cult. Looks like they're going to be auctioning off the shit. And the mask, it made me laugh. And I'll mention it more in my. It's going to take a bit of time. But I'm doing a huge Halloween Gordon Green trilogy essay. And one thing I'll mention in it is the decay masks. And if you look in Scream 6, they finally have gone to that trope of doing the decayed mask. And I was like, oh, are they just doing like the Halloween thing? And I was like, no, I get it. That's going to be the original mask that some guy auctioned off and he bought it. And I bet you that's how they're going to start the movie. It's like sold and then he puts it.
That'd be a good way to do that.
And then they should use that music is what I was trying to circle back to. Oh, because I haven't heard that music, I think, maybe since the 2nd. I don't even know if it's in the 2nd. You know, which is why we're going to be watching all of them.
We'll find out.
Stay tuned for 7 hours of Scream.
I also love this dialogue sets up who the killers are, but also contextualize, like, because we always talk about horror movies, like how would you kill somebody and stuff, so you don't think about it all, but they literally set up the killers in this scene.
I know. That's why the script is so clever. The script is just like, it's one of those highbrow scripts that like when it gets put on your desk and you're reading it, you're like, oh my God, like
this is genius.
This is great. Like, you know, you have something, you know, you're like, okay, we gotta make this.
Yeah.
You know. And it can be made cheap. Like when the Weinsteins got this, they probably were like,
yeah, no shit, eh? They would have been salivating at that.
And they probably were immediately like, fucking Wes Craven. You know, well, actually, I think it was the writer who said like, we need to get Wes on this.
Do this.
But Wes Craven, as I've said many a times, maybe not on the channel, but I have said a lot. Wes Craven is like one of the most influential horror filmmakers ever, because every fucking decade he like revolutionized the industry. So like when his directorial debut was the house Last House on the Left, and that like brought in the whole rape kind of like torture rape culture films of the 70s, those exploitation films. And then in the 80s, he did Nightmare on Elm Street, and that like brought in a whole new wave of horror making movies. And then in the 90s, he fucking did this, and this like flooded the gates.
Wow, you're right. Now that I'm thinking about that.
And then in the 2000s, he kind of, he halted, and he didn't really have anything else. But like if you watch his stuff in the 2000s and then all the way to like the ends of his career, you can tell that he was still trying to change something a bit different. Yeah. Like the one movie that's not that good, but it's kind of funny, is Cursed. I think it's written by the same guy who wrote this, and it's like another spoof, but it's on creature features this time. So you could tell that like
they wanted to do a spin on that,
trying to do it again, or trying to create something.
Capture that lightning.
It just didn't work as well. But if you guys ever watch Curse, it came out in 2004. It stars Christina Ricci and shockingly Jesse Eisenberg. She plays the brother. And if you watch it, it's cringy, but it's also really entertaining. I enjoy that movie a lot.
It rings a bell, but I would have been younger if I had watched it. I might have to rewatch that because I don't remember off the top of my head now.
And in the early 2000s, if we all remember, what actually kind of ended up happening is that what they ended up bringing back, it was zombies and torture porn.
Yes.
And who was the one that kind of not created it but popularized torture porn? Well, it was fucking Last House on the Left but it said it didn't do the Saw thing. So like in the early 2000s, the person that ended up revolutionizing what horror films was James Wan, and James Wan has basically been doing that ever since. So James Wan to me is the new Wes Craven. That's my go-to. Because Malignant is basically his Nightmare on Elm Street because it's batshit crazy.
Malignant is an amazing film.
If you guys haven't seen Malignant, you need to just sit down and watch it and be prepared for it to be the dumbest shit ever, but just know that it's totally intentional, and what they tried to do was just make the craziest shit ever.
Nothing in that movie is accidental. There's an intent for every shot, which is what it makes it even more bizarre. Every shot has a purpose, and it's batshit crazy.
The thing that makes it the most bizarre is that it was a $40 million studio movie.
Yep.
Like the fact that like Warner Brothers executives just like read the script like, check mark.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it, boys. I'm like, how the fuck did they do that? So like that's what's so amazing about Malignant, and it is like one of those movies that it's like it's a mess, like it's all over the place, but it's so fucking entertaining.
But that's what's great about it.
It is amazing.
It's an ordered chaos, so to speak. Like it's
controlled
a
chaos
or batshit crazy, but every piece has a part in the puzzle of it.
I really love it. I hope they make more. And then so at this point in time, Jason Blum and James Wan are trying to take their two companies and fuse them together, and they're basically gonna it is a monopoly, but essentially what they're trying to do is monopolize the horror scene. So any indie type horror film is going to come through them.
Let's go through that.
But it's happening already anyway. You either have a horror movie that's going to be coming from Blumhouse, or you're going to have a horror movie that comes from Atomic Monster, which is James Wan's company. So for them fusing together, it's like, just let it happen, because then we just go to one place. It's both those minds, and then they have a ton of resources.
Yeah,
and we could pitch them fucking garbage, and they'd probably just say, "Nah, sure."
Not as quite as terrifying as something like Disney.
No,
either,
it's not like that. It's not like that. It's not. It's also not like the Cineplex Lionsgate deal, where it's like, you know, like having them put a sign so that Cineplex will like mainly favor Lionsgate movies and auditoriums, but then you find out that like, well, there's no way that they'll actually go down that rabbit hole of just showing all Lionsgate films, because if you get Fast and the Furious 10 in theaters, they're gonna follow the way of the money. Like, cause you have to think about it, right? It's like Fast and Furious 10 comes out in August this year or July or something like that.
Yeah.
And
how do you go beyond space? But continue
I don't
your
know.
thought.
But then, and John Wick's coming out in March. So let's say that let's say that July comes and John Wick is still in 4 auditoriums in Cineplex because they've monopolized it.
Yeah.
But it's making no money because everyone's seen it.
It's already gone.
And then
twice, thrice. Yeah.
And then Fast and the Furious comes out, and then they're like, okay, what are we gonna do? Keep John Wick in the theater or make 4 auditoriums of fucking
and
make a bunch of money? Well, we're gonna do that exactly. And then if Lionsgate has another film that comes out, like let's say the prequel to The Hunger Games comes out and it's gonna be competing with it, it's like, which one will they favor? The one that's making the most money,
because that's what it boils down to.
Contractual, they will keep Mockingjay whatever prequel in theaters in an auditorium or 2. So because they're, you know, whatever, they're getting a bigger slice of the cake of it, but they will always favor the one that's making a shit zillion dollars more. It wouldn't make any sense for them to take Avatar to theaters at the beginning of January. You know what I mean? When it was still making like billions of dollars.
No, it wouldn't be logical.
No, it wouldn't make any sense. They will. That's why the Canadian government actually like revoked that as being against the law, because they said the idea of them monopolizing it for a small, not a small company, but a company like Lionsgate, it's just like, no. However, if Disney was to do it, they would question and say,
that'd
no,
be too much.
Because then they would just ask the question and be like, you have the biggest films coming out of this year. Why do you need clarification or certainty that your movie's going to be in theaters?
We know
when
it's going to be.
It's going to be in theaters.
There's no stopping it.
3 Avatar movies lined up for the next 5 years. You've got Marvel films lined up for the next 100 years, and you have Star Wars movies coming out, and you're actually going to and Pixar films, and you're actually sitting here telling me that you guys need to have
more control
that you're going to be in theaters. There's no fucking way. There's no way. That would be halted by Congress, kind of just like how the Roger Shaw thing got halted. Right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, whoa, you can't do that. You know. But
yeah,
then
that's ridiculous.
That one's ridiculous too. So, yeah. And then the other thing with Scream, with the new one is that Sidney Campbell is not going to be in it. So Sidney Prescott's not going to be in it. And Neve Campbell not going to be in it because of a pay thing. And this kind of just came back to me. I wasn't too upset about it because I was like, Courtney Cox and Sidney were not used. I were like in it at all. They were barely in it. Like 15 minutes. They didn't do much. David Arquette was the real like show stealer of Scream. Literally, the only reason why Scream 5 is even worth watching is because David Arquette is really fucking good in it.
Yeah, that's fair.
And he's got a really interesting character. But then they just get rid of him. It's so stupid. They're like, whatever. You know.
Let's take the highlight of our film and say,
yeah, halfway. They just get rid of him. And I just sit there and I'm just like, why y'all do that? You know, so with this one, she's not going to be in it. And as far as I'm concerned, that's probably the best thing. I think Courtney Cox is going to be in it. And they brought back the girl from Scream 4, Kirby, the film geek. They brought her back. And I'm excited for her to come back. But for me, it's like, is she coming back to be in it for 10 minutes, or is she going to be like the David Arquette character? Because I want her to be, I want her to be like there, and I don't want them to just kill her off. Like, keep her there. You know, she's such a good character in Scream 4. I've really liked her in that movie, like a hell of a lot. So the idea of like bringing her back just to kill her off seems so pointless. It's just like, it seems like just like bait to get people into the theater again. Yeah. It's like, why? That scene will always be permanently broken as Special Officer Doofy.
I know. Yeah. The thing is Doofy is a ridiculous character, but he's not that far off from this character. That's what's
Special Officer Doofy. That's the thing. Like, I always just imagine him with his like offensive face and then like the water gun, and he's just holding. He's like, oh, it's just me, Fins. I always picture that.
The gag of him walking straight at the end is pretty god tier, though.
Oh yeah, the Usual Suspects reference. That's the thing about this movie, though, that when I saw it for the first time after seeing Scream, I think I saw Scream or a scary movie, and I saw this 2 years after.
Yeah.
And because this one's a little more violent, or a hell of a lot more violent, I should say, than Scary Movie. But when I watched this and that scene happened, I laughed out loud because I was just like, oh my God, like they literally took straight up shots and just did it again.
Redid it.
So the one thing about Rose McLaughlin, I think that's her name, the girl with the blonde hair here's character and actress in real life, is like, so I actually like this actress. I like her in this. She's in Charmed, the show Charmed, which my sisters watched. I would catch glimpses of it every now and then. Not the reboot one, the original one. I thought it was, well, I don't know if I'd say it was okay, but it was interesting at times. Kind of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I would catch glimpses of that. I'd be like, that looks interesting.
Intriguing.
Yeah, but I never sat down and watched the whole thing. Regardless, I'm pretty sure that she was victimized on the set of this movie from Harvey Weinstein. Yeah, I know.
Well, that changes.
And when you watch the movie, you can kind of feel it because, like, she's kind of parading around in this, like, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong. This is basically like what high school students dress like, but like maybe minus the turtleneck. I don't know about that. But there's a scene when she's in a house and it very clearly, like, you could just see like her nipples are fully erect.
Yes, I remember. I think we even commented on that before.
We did. And it just comes off incredibly, like, I don't know, sleazy. And it feels kind of like a thing where either like Wes Craven was like, shit, we just can't get it. It's just happening. Like, it's just the way that it's happening. Sorry. But I feel like there was a step above it that was like, turn the temperature down, you know, get her nipples erect.
More.
Yeah. Bring it to my hotel room.
Oh God.
He'll die in jail.
Isn't it the Jason X movie where there's a shitload of footage that's like exists but we'll never see the light of day?
No, it was that they didn't even film it because the casting director refused to do the sleazy beach ball bikini scene. He was like,
something so sleazy. It was like, fuck that.
If you guys ever want to see like the most bizarre, contradicting, like behind the scenes shit ever, go up a bit from this channel and go to the Spotlight Blacklight episode of Jason X. It's 40 minutes long.
That's a fucking roller coaster.
You'll have a blast. So the only thing you have to deal with is it has good sound, but it doesn't have great sound. The sound, basically, with a lot of the videos you'll hear from the first like 40 videos, you'll hear the worst ever of sound to kind of like what that Spotlight video is, and you will say, the sound is there. It's a little rough, but it's leveled, but it's not kind of like polished. So like I don't have like a deep kind of bass to my voice, and everything kind of just feels like a monotone-esque like level to it.
Yeah.
It's not curved correctly. I never use like the equalizers for it to kind of shape my voice and the wavelengths of my voice and Kade's voice through it, because A, I was working way too much, and B, I wasn't experienced enough with it to make sure that for a 45-minute video that it would sound consistent and correct. So even now, if you go on, you'll hear like a 1-minute video thing I put up that's just a commentary of me practicing mixing and leveling. It sounds way better than anything I've ever done. So yeah. But with this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually feed it through that Adobe Premiere AI and just say,
spirit,
work your magic, my friend. However, I think what I'm going to do first is go into the editor and then kind of like lower. Adjust. I'll put like the kind of like background, remove the background and kind of do that and everything. But I won't touch the actual specifics of the voice, and then I'll just give that track to the AI and see
let
if
it do its thing.
Freaks out, because Francois was saying that if it recognizes two voices on it, that it freaks out and doesn't know how to...
It panics?
Yeah, like reacts to it bizarrely. And
we'll see.
And every now and then I'm okay with us like going over each other, but if it's going to do that and then like create like wavy, like really kind of sounds, that kind of like, it's really difficult to explain certain audio because you just have to hear it, but it's like, when you compress audio enough and put enough filters over it and kind of like plugins, you can, with your voice, what ends up happening is it gives it this like ugly, robotic kind of wave to it. And then you'll know it immediately. You'll just listen to it and be like, whoa, that sounds bad. But you'll hear it and it sounds like, it sounds fucked up.
It's like radio. It's like listening on a ham radio, basically.
It's like listening to a 1980s like radio that's got fucked up thing. You're like, what? You're like, whoa, that sounds fucked.
Just off.
But if you ever hear that, it's because somebody compressed a bad track way too much and it just sounds
in
like
an effort.
Yeah. But they probably had rough dialogue to begin with, and then they were like, or track to begin with, and they said, "Ooh, fuck, we gotta fix this," and then they just compressed it way too much. And that was stuff I took like a whole year just like learning. So, and then the cool thing is like now that they can fix the audio like that.
Yeah,
it's really convenient because you can feed that through the AI, take it, go into Audition. And then anything else you want to correct on it or fix or something like that, you can break it down even further in Audition and then start working on your mix. And you save like a fuckload of time, you know. And I've noticed that they've been like, because I was doing so much sound stuff, they had been giving me a ton of ads on YouTube and everything for sound AIs. And I was just, and this is exactly like everyone's all upset about the AI, this I can draw and stuff. And I'm like, sure, I agree with that in some ways, but I'm like, this AI is to use it as a tool like this is amazing, because it is like painstaking to get that fucking shit to sound perfect. And sometimes it takes a hell of a lot of time. And unless you're like a professional who's done this for years and has all these preset things that they can just plug in that they've made, and they don't like to share their shit. You know what I mean? So I'm like, now that I can just feed it through an AI, it can do a job that's good enough for content like this and everything, where I have no money to hire these guys, or I'm trying to learn it, but I have to do other things as well. It's really good that I can just kind of do that and then focus more so on the art of mixing a track and creating sounds.
Then
fine-tuning dialogue. You just want dialogue to come out as fucking fresh as possible, you know what I mean? Without having to do all this post-production shit on it, unless you're trying to do like a robotic voice or something like that. But if it's just people talking, you almost want the on-set dialogue to be perfect. All you have to do is just level it or compress it ever so slightly.
Oh God, I forgot he brings out his pistol to this.
I know, right? It's hilarious.
Such overkill.
And it's better than a vacuum.
Yeah, that's true. I guess not by much though.
But yeah, no. So the Woodborough season. That was like the other thing with the new movie. Is like it taking place in the city could be really fun, or it could be like awful. You know what I mean? Like, it could be like...
Depends how you play with it.
It depends on what you do. My biggest thing is, like, are they going to utilize it? Are they going to play it in the city and have it be, like, a lot of... Kind of like how Jason Manhattan is just kind of walking around the city and then he's slashing people. It's like, okay, that image of him just walking down the street of Manhattan's funny, but, like, he should have gone into other areas, but they clearly didn't have the money to do it. They probably barely had enough money to film him going down Manhattan, you know? So I'm like, with Scream, you just made how much money? So Sony, I hope you gave it just enough that you go on to... They are on the subway. Play with it. They're on the subway, so that's an improvement. But it's like, you got to be in the streets. You got to do something. You know what I mean?
Work with it, man.
There's got to be some fun moments.
28 Days Later still has some of my favorite use of city stuff of all time by showing the actual London abandoned. That shit was terrifying.
It was amazing that they were even able to do that for such a low budget movie.
Yeah, it is. It's wild.
But that Danny Boyle is a genius when it comes to making movies for a zero budget.
Yeah.
He is notorious for having his movies come in under budget. So like he gives the studio back money. And studios don't like that because then they think that you rushed or that the movie's not worth as much. Yeah, so then they get all mad at you and everything like that. So, but he's notorious for that. He does that all the time because he's clever. He finds ways, like, it's kind of like how we talk about making movies and everything where it's like it's so expensive, but it's all unnecessary costs. He just finds ways to make them way cheaper than the basic studio guy would think it would be, and still great. Danny Boyle really hasn't made a bad movie. Like, I don't think he has. The weakest movie he did is that Yesterday film that's like about the singer who I think it's like, what the hell is the plot of that movie? He wakes up and the Beatles don't exist, so then he knows all the Beatles songs.
Yes, and then he's trying to build that whole thing up. Yeah,
that's the weakest movie he's made because it's not really, well, I mean, it's got a Danny Boyle feel to it, but it's not Danny Boyle. It's not as, to me, it's not as big as like
the
Danny
thing
Boyle.
too is it's not as memorable because it took me a minute to also try to remember the premise of that. I was like, oh shit, that's what that's
about. The movie's
about.
only 4 years old, you know.
Yeah, holy crook.
Like the fact that I can sit here and still remember, like, well, I mean, Slumdog Millionaire won Best Picture, but that doesn't mean anything. The fact that I can remember Slumdog Millionaire is impressive, and the fact that I can remember, you know, and the other shit he's done, like Shallow Grave, his first movie, I remember that, you know, Train Spotting, obviously, but then, like, everyone loves The Beach. I don't like The Beach as much, but I can't say it's bad. It's interesting.
That's fair.
Yeah, 28 Days Later's classic. Steve Jobs is really good. Like, I love that Steve Jobs movie. I think it's very interesting, you know, and it's got a solid script from Aaron Sorkin.
It is. Yeah,
it's an interesting movie. Just the way it's done. It feels like I would love to see it adapted into a play. Because that's how it feels.
Dude,
it feels
that
like a
picture
play.
you sent me of Ian McKellen and Tim Curry. I'm so sad that in
1980 to our audience,
80 to 81.
In 1980 something,
80 to 81 is when the play was going.
Tim Curry and Ian McKellen both did Amadeus together on stage, and they got nominated for Tonys for it. And Tim Curry obviously played Amadeus, and then Ian McKellen played, I forgot his name, but the other guy. And I was just sitting there, and I was like reading that, and I watched some people talk about it, and I was just like, that sounds better than the movie. Like, that sounds amazing. Like, just to watch Tim Curry alone be Amadeus, that wacky performance,
and I was to be able to bounce it off of Ian McKellen.
Fuck, and it would be perfect. I just imagine that sternness of Ian McKellen in comparison to that, and I'm like, fuck, you know,
would have been so good.
You know, I think, but F. Abraham Murray, I think is his name, that played the original one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he won an Oscar for it, so I mean, he's amazing in the Amadeus movie.
Yeah.
The Amadeus movie is amazing. Anybody that can get mad at me, oh, Amadeus is amazing. I know, I watch it every year I have it, and fuck you. I know it's amazing. I'm still waiting for the 4K to come out. Like, so, you know, like, it is an amazing movie. Oh, and by the way, when that 4K comes out, it better have an Adobe Atmos, like, master track that was done correctly. Because that fucking music, I don't even have surround sound, but I would be pissed if it doesn't have it just because at a point, I want to be able to have that when I have that setup.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. Because you want it to be as amazing as possible. And some people like stereo sound over that and everything. And I'm like, it's fine, sure. But like, when you're like, the fact that they could mimic it to feel like you're in the auditorium with the music surrounding you, because that's what the fucking
Pretty magical.
That's what that going to the opera and going to a symphony. That's what it's all about. The way that people are placed and the way that the building is designed specifically so it echoes and feels like it's coming at you at all corners. It's a world building.
It's immersive.
Yeah, it's immersive. So just like Shakespeare's World Theater, you know, the design of that, right? So it's like, for fuck's sakes, give that thing the proper soundtrack, please. It deserves it. It will be one of those rare movies where it benefits it heavily for having it, in my opinion. Even like just for those surround sound moments when they're in the auditoriums doing the plays and the operas and shit like that. And not to mention that the score in that movie is amazing too, and the performance, everything about that movie is great. So, but yeah.
I have this stupid song in my head now. I'm a dance.
Oh no, there's all right. Yeah, no. So they did a thing in Scream 5 where they brought like Billy back via CG, the horrors of CGI, but he's only in like a quick shot. And I really hope, like I really hoped that they would abandon that aspect in Scream 5 and just like be like, whatever. Because it was such a stupid thing. I thought it was dumb. And
I know we call it in the scene before, but this scene's so good.
Oh, I mean, Henry Winkler is amazing. I love that he plays like a straight role, but it's clearly goofy. Going back to like playing something straight, even though like
it's a ridiculous situation.
Yeah, my coworker and I at my job, we were talking about like one fucking inch away from stabbing a kid. But we were talking about this one, well, I guess I was talking to him about it. I came up with this scenario, and I was like, about like the hallway in the hotel, the lights go out and then the emergency lights come on and it's like way more dim and atmospheric mooding, and then you play this music in it and it like kind of like fills the halls, and then people slowly come out of their doors, and then this like ambient music starts creeping in, and then the elevator doors open, and then like this force of evil comes in. But I joked that the force of evil was a mule. You know, it's just coming out of the elevator, but it's played totally straight. But the moment you see that mule, you're just gonna laugh out loud, and it's ridiculous. Like, that's the thing, right? Because the joke is that they're playing it straight and threatening, even though like the scenario is completely silly and stupid. But as a filmmaker, you know it is, but you're aware of the joke, but you're doing it as serious as human possible.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, like if the person coming out of that elevator was like some sort of SWAT mercenary,
Darth Vader or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Getting ready to kill everybody, or Voldemort or whatever.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's just this mule, you know, that's gonna come and kick everyone's ass,
beat the shit out of everybody.
And it's like, oh my God, we're all fucked. You know, like to me, I was like, that would be so funny. Like you would just start laughing, even though that thing is like, I wonder, like just pitching that to a studio exec, they just wouldn't get it. You would have to go out like that. I would just have to go out and film it.
I was say, you have to and show what you actually mean.
Yeah, because they'd be like, what? Because they'd be like, no, that'll never work. And then I would show it with test reactions from people, and then they laugh, and I'd be like, fucking asshole, you know. Now give me the money to do it perfect, you know. So yeah, no. So
those soap dispensers are disgusting.
Everything.
I don't know how I didn't comment on that. I know it's old.
Do you remember at the end of this movie it says no thanks to the school board and everything like that? And we were just like, I wonder if they like really gave them shit for this or something like that, or because
that's right.
There is a thing that like does happen when you go and shoot as a filmmaker. What can happen when you go and get like a real school or a real building to film in is those people's demand could be that like you can't make it look bad. You have to. It almost has to be like an advertisement for them.
Yeah,
it needs to look amazing
so that they look amazing.
Yeah, so they look amazing. And when you go into a bathroom like this, you know what I mean? And you're like, oh, it kind of is disgusting already. Let's just make it a little more disgusting. Yeah. And then the school board sees that footage.
Freaks out.
They're going to freak out, and then they're going to give you shit. And what they could actually do is they could see it as like a violation of contract and not allow you to go back and film shit there. So maybe what ended up happening is this happened, or they showed like the murder on campus or shit like this. And then the school board just said, no, you're not allowed. Yeah, and they went crazy. And then I'm thinking, because if you look up here, this does not look like a school. So I'm wondering if here is not actually them at school. They had to go to an office space and then had to kind of
pretend it's a school.
Get some lockers and put them here in the, oh fuck, but it's like a lawyer's office, and they're like, oh fuck, you know, as much as they possibly can.
I would explain the call out then.
Yeah, because this stuff would be easy to film. Like this stuff, they like a school wouldn't have too much of an issue with. They'd be like, oh yeah, you can put like the security cops and everything out front. But the moment you do anything in the school where it's insinuating like knives are getting through the doors and this and killers and
this would be pre-mass shootings and the drama,
the 90s,
so they wouldn't care as heavily. I don't know.
They might not care, but mass shootings and everything like that still happened, and schools still were dangerous. It just wasn't Columbine levels of awareness to it.
It wasn't this psychoticness that is every day in America.
So but it's basically like, if this movie is going to be in theaters and it's a big Hollywood film and everything, and their school's like fucking prominent, like front center there, and like they know that it's this school, they could be super stingy and say, hell no.
Even though all advertising is good advertising.
Like I know, when I was in film school, there was one movie I wanted to make, like a short film for my final, and I went to my old school, my high school, to ask them if I could come in at certain times and film and everything. And they're like, yeah, send us the script and everything like that. And when I got back to them, I kind of got like, I got limitations put on it.
What you can do.
Yeah, and it wasn't making a horror film, by the way. I was making a drama. And the drama was, like a comedy drama, but it was just a drama about like the new person comes to this small town, and then they have a really small school.
Yeah.
And my school was like really fancy and everything, so I was going to try to limit it. I was going to shoot the exterior of another school, but shoot the interior of that school.
Okay.
Because I thought that because I was an alumni, they would be really lenient with me and say, yeah, and be like proud of it. Yeah, you filmed here, right? Like, but so I thought I could get away with stuff, but no, they didn't want certain dialogue. They didn't want the students swearing, and I was like, there's no point because it won't be real. You know, as the whole point of this is to just give off this like realistic approach of it. I even was interested in casting students there from the drama club, and it would be like this kind of like big fun thing that like, hey, look, an alumni came back with film knowledge, and then he grabbed like new students and everything, and for 2 days they went and filmed like a 15-minute short film. I thought it would be a blast, and then the moment I told Brian, I'm like, nope, it's not gonna work. So they won't let it happen, so it's, it's kind of shitty. So one thing that I have a prediction of for Scream 6 is that, because I said that they should do it in last time we did the commentary, is that Stu there is going to come back. Even though he was dead at the end of this, they'll find a way, because I said, I was like, all he did is get stabbed, and that's enough to put him away. So my theory was that they were going to find out that he was actually locked up in some sort of insane asylum in the city, and that he's been forgotten about and everything, and then they go and talk to him and everything like that, and then find out like this is a way bigger thing than you can imagine stuff. So he's aware of something, but he's all fucked up and loony and everything like that. And I said the first scene that should happen, but Neve Campbell's not there, so it won't work. Is that Neve Campbell would show up, and she would sit down and talk to him. She's like, "Hi, Stu," and she'd be like kind of like pissed off that he's still alive and everything. And he would be like, and the first thing he would say out of his mouth, in the only way that Matthew Lillard can, is he would be there and he'd kind of drooling. He'd be like, "My mom wasn't mad," because he's like, "My mom's gonna be so mad." And he'd be like, "My mom wasn't mad," and that would be the first line. And immediately you would be hooked as a fan or a newcomer. You'd be like, "Ooh, okay, this is gonna be good," and that would be like a tour de force performance for him because he'd be perfect in it.
It would be.
And then you end it like that, and then it's like another dead end. He's like another red herring. But then you can introduce that he does have something with it, and then you can maybe bring him back for the next one, that he's the mastermind behind all of it, and goes back to the beginning or something like that. But
some major plot.
They should bring him back, because he could just be the best part of it. You know what I mean?
At this Matthew Lillard.
I just want Matthew Lillard. Really, it's biased. I just want Matthew Lillard to be in as much. He got so fucked over with Scooby-Doo. That's like, fuck it. Give him anything at this point. He was amazing in Twin Peaks: The Return. He's barely in it, but the episode he is in, fucking incredible. Like, he did such an amazing job in it. So it's like, I really would like to see him get more shit. and Velma is fucking awful.
I'm not even gonna watch it.
Don't, man. Seriously, don't. You'll hate
want
it.
to.
I'm
hyped. Did you see the Harley Quinn Valentine's special?
I sent
hyped about
I sent
that.
it to you, and I was just like, this looks amazing.
I'm hyped for that.
That's what pissed me off. I was just gonna say, I'm like, it's not like Harley Quinn. It's not like they took the material and made it really good and true and honest.
When the first trailer dropped, it looked like it was the same animators.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, hell yeah. They're going to do what they did with the Harley Quinn, but for Scooby-Doo.
That's what I thought, too.
And then I saw the next trailer, and it's like, it's not the same writers. No. This is bad.
It's totally different. I was expecting them to give us an adult version. It was exactly what we always talk about. It's just like a little more of an adult version of Scooby-Doo. Same morals, same friendship morals, just working together to get through problems.
Theme stuff.
And that would be fun. You remember situational, like I was just saying.
Yeah.
Putting the gang into like a murder situation would be legitimately funny. That's why Scooby-Doo.
So frustrating.
That's why Scooby-Doo 1 as a movie works well, and Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. Well, actually, all 4 of those movies work well, is because they said, "Hey, what if the mysteries aren't a guy in a mask? They're real.
They're actual."
And it becomes really funny to watch them interact with a zombie or an alien, and the Cyber's demon or the
Cyber
ghost.
Demon. That whole one's one of my favorite ones.
The Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase is my favorite one. It kind of goes in this weird order that is like an unpopular opinion, but it's Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase, then it's the Witch's Ghost, then it's Zombie Island, and at the end it's the Alien Invaders. But by no means does that mean that Alien Invaders is a bad one.
Or something.
They're all kind of great.
Say, they're all awesome.
Yeah. It's just, for me, I love the Cyber Chase one the most. Then it goes to the Witch's Ghost. And the reason why is because I love anything that's like kind of like that Tron related, where you go inside of a digital world. I always love movies like that. They're doing Neuromancer as a show with Miles Teller.
Oh, sick. How did I not know that?
Fucking wait. I'm so excited. It's like one of my favorite books. I'm ecstatic about that. Static? Pun intended. And the static sky. Anyway, but like I'm super, super happy about that. And then when it comes to the Witch's Ghost, I love that like folk tale kind of like old village, the haunted like witches and shit like that.
And the mythos, they really go into that.
I really like that. And I also like it I love the whole ending in that movie when Richard Ravenclaw or whatever his name is gets the book, and played by Tim Curry, and then you find out he's bad. He's like an ancestor of the ghost, and then they go and he turns the pumpkins alive, and the chicken
it goes all like H.P. Lovecraft.
The turkey gets gigantic and it becomes like this nightmare situation. I love that. And then Zombie Island, once again, it has that kind of like southern bubblegum.
That movie actually scared me too.
Yeah. When I first saw it, I remember when that movie was all over TV as like, it's coming, Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. I remember fucking like being there the moment. I think it came out on DVD or when it premiered on TV. Like I watched it that day. Like I was so excited.
It was VHS is what we freaking watched it on, man. That's how like
it's really
ancient and weird that one is for me.
It's really funny because the two that I don't like as much as the other two I like, I have it on reverse. So I own the VHSs of the two I like the most, and then the ones that I like not as much, I have it on a dual DVD back. So it's kind of funny. Whatever. They have such. I played those movies like over and over and over and over and over again.
I was gonna say my favorite one. I feel so bad. I don't remember. It's in part of the newer line. It was the when Shaggy's a werewolf and they have that race.
Oh yeah,
that's still my favorite Scooby-Doo movie.
Hell is that one called?
It's not even. It's just Shaggy and Scooby. That's still my favorite movie. I think for all Scooby-Doo stuff.
There's some good ones, but yeah, no. That when you incorporate like that kind of realism into it, that's why Velma would have worked, and then just having Velma be the titular character.
And they've proven it works with Mystery Incorporated, where they had a bit more of a serious tone, and that show beautifully ends into the original series and stuff. And I was like, that's what I was hoping Velma was going to do, but from what I've been told and what I've seen, it's not. And it's just
not
like
at all.
A slap to the fandom.
Every character is totally different. They're written in ways that just make them
which is frustrating because they could have done a gag too. If they had the IP for Scooby-Doo, why not have them as their own gang and have the joke be they are just a carbon copy of the Mystery Gang? It would actually dealing with all this crap.
It would actually work really well if the first season was about a gang that's in the school that's like terrible at solving like certain situations, and they're like awful and rude and shitty, and they're actually all out for themselves, and the big twist at the end is that they're actually causing all the problems so that they can look like the smart one in the
heroes,
gang.
yeah.
And then through the character setup of our heroes, they together come and solve that ultimate mystery that it was this gang that's behind all of this.
All along.
And it could be like, and it could be a commentary on high school life of like gossip and toxicities in that way, and bullying.
That would have been
awesome.
Would have been
way more interesting. And then your season's over and you have all of the characters.
I'm just so disappointed because we got the freaking, like, Harley Quinn is a show that, again, speaking of satire with this, is so done so well that it has some of the best interpretation of characters I've seen in like decades.
It's amazing how the best interpretation of Bane is a joke.
Yeah. I know, a meme.
And that's
and
not...
you're so but he's so inspiring and scary at the same time.
And that's not a diss on Tom Hardy in anything. It's actually, it just makes it more impressive because I think the Christopher Nolan Bane is excellent. He's legitimately menacing. They just fucked up in his ending.
Nightfall Bane's still my favorite from the comics because that's like, but this we're talking about film and stuff, but like that one is forever like my Bane like interpretation.
My favorite Bane is going to be Dave Bautista's Bane because he's basically going to be the perfect Bane if they write him correctly.
As long as he actually, the one problem I've always seen is, and this the whole joke of the Harley Quinn show that I love about it is he plays second fiddle to everyone else. But in the comics, he's just this god-tier villain that fucking owns Batman. It's like, we have yet to see that happen. I would love to see that.
That's why I would really actually enjoy if Bautista came in. Nothing against Bautista. He's a great actor. But, like, if he came in and it was a supporting with Bane, kind of like what they did with Batman and Robin, except he's not just a buffoon. He's a supporting, and he's really smart and really intelligent, but no one's fucking listening to him or something like that. And at the end of the movie, he takes control of the situation and just wrecks everything.
That's Bane's thing.
That would be so great because that would
finally give justice to Bane as a villain.
I think it would be amazing. And one way you could do it is you could actually establish that Bane's already in Arkham because they're doing that Arkham show with Jim Gordon. And you can establish that he's already in Arkham, and what it leads to is a full-on prison breakout, and you have other main villains setting it up, and then at the end when everything goes to shit, he's the one that just takes control and just mutilates himself through, and at the end he's the only one that escapes. That would be really interesting.
That'd be pretty sweet.
That would be a fun thing. The fire rises.
Finally.
Yeah.
No, that's why I fucking love Harley Quinn so much, is that Bane is the most competent villain in the series, but he's always second fiddle to everyone else. The only character that beats Batman, and he does it mid-argument with like Two-Face.
Yeah, I know. I love that he just breaks his back and he's just
casually.
like, I just feel like I'm getting the short end of the stick. It's like the funniest thing ever.
Breaks him.
Breaks him. Oh God, I loved that. He is so funny. Like, if you guys haven't watched the Harley Quinn show, for fuck's sakes, go.
And the thing is, the seasons don't get weaker. It just ages so well.
And that's why I'm actually I'm kind of on champion with James Gunn taking over, because the Harley Quinn show's humor is basically what James Gunn does. And like the Harley Quinn, those characters work so well for that type of humor and world. And then he still knows how to make serious moments. Like the Suicide Squad movie still has a lot of serious aspects to it.
There's still some
he
heavy,
just blends
heavy
it
stuff.
fucking perfectly. So it's really great.
It makes me hopeful.
I know this month or next month or some month they're announcing 7 projects that they're working on.
And we'll get to
they're
see
not announcing the full 10 years, but they're announcing like probably the first 2.
Yeah.
And we can see what to expect.
And kind of gauge the future.
Either way, everyone, I love how he is now getting death threats and everyone's so toxic towards him. I'm like, it just proves that, like, literally, it doesn't matter. Anybody could take over, anybody could do anything, they're still gonna be toxic as fuck.
Still hate about it.
And they're all, like, championing, they're like, Netflix should just take over with the Justice League, and everyone's like, well, Netflix doesn't own them. And it's like, yeah, but they could, like they could get Warner Bros. To lease that out. But the thing is, I'm like, they'll never do that. To all you Schneider fans, they're not going to do that. And the reason why is because they're not going to divide you guys further.
No,
so
it's not going to help.
It's not going to help.
It needs a fresh direction. That's why I like the Batman as much as I do. Is it's a new take, and I really want to see more. I don't want to see more of the Schneiderverse. I liked it, but like it needs something new.
I really hate that Zack Snyder chose to end his Justice League recut with that tacked on teaser for the next one. They should. That's the one thing they should not have allowed, because it's like, damn it,
should have been
Zach,
closed.
you could have closed the book on it, and then that's done. They got their trilogy. It's over. And then whatever's the next ones could have fallen in speculation, you know. But you gave them that doomsday nightmare world, made them all fucking excited, and then Dwayne Johnson didn't make it any better by forcibly like announcing that he was coming back. You know, I could only imagine that they were just fucking livid about that, you know.
Sad.
Dwayne Johnson needs to take about a 2-year break and get his ego a little under control here, because it was pretty embarrassing with how he I haven't seen Black Adam, and I heard the movie's fine, but it was embarrassing how he reacted to it, and how he like was lying about the box office intake, and how he championed and made himself seem like he was the almighty big bad guy, and like he made it just blow up. And it was like, dude, like, calm down, you know, like I can understand being excited, but like his publicist should have came in and been like, Dwayne, like, fuck, man, take it back, you know, take a moment, regardless of the movie's success or not. You should just keep saying how happy you are that it was finally made, and hold it the fuck back, buddy. Because James Gunn met with him and said, you're not going to be part of the, at least for the first wave of it, you're not going to be a part of it. And he was like, I respect it and everything like that. But I'm like, yeah, but you've also turned an entire fan base against that man. So, shit, dude, like, you know. And even Henry Cavill, that he met with him and said, you're not going to be a part of it, explained the reasons why. This is what I was talking about with the fucking nipples here. But whatever. Hey, and you know, the thing is like, if she was okay with it, sure. But I do know that I believe this was the movie that Harvey Weinstein was super fucking creepy on. I think it was with her. So it's like, yeah, exactly. It's just like, fuck. You know, I think Harvey Weinstein had something with blonde chicks. Like, I want to say he forced her to dye her hair blonde. I might be wrong about that, but
that would give new precedence to freaking Cam the Woods gag about the blonde hair then.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
I don't know. I'm speculating there, but I don't know. Yeah.
Fuck, that'd be another layer that I wasn't expecting Cam the Woods if that's the case.
Yeah.
Wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. So. Well, not amazing. It's awful. Like, so.
What do you have to say? You're ranting before the Weinstein thing. Going to the Weinstein.
Yeah. Sorry, I kind of skipped over the Weinstein thing, and then kind of like
back.
Gave myself more of like a pump thing to whatever. With James Gunn being in charge of it, I was like, it's gonna be awesome. But
I know what you meant.
Yeah.
People might misconstrue that.
20 years, 48-year-old Alex. I'm sorry that your career just got canceled. So, fuck.
Yeah.
So if one thing you guys will notice when you're watching this movie, if you're even watching it or whatever, you're paying as much of attention as we are. When in certain shots, when the camera pans, you can actually see like the whole fucking room looks like it's collapsing in on itself. Those are from their lenses. I can't remember what the lenses are. I want to say they're anamorphic lenses. I might be wrong about that. But there's certain lenses that cause that. And to me, I fucking hate it. If I was ever doing that with a camera, I noticed that it was collapsing in like that, I would literally be like, to my cinematographer, I'd be like, I don't care how, get lenses that don't do that. You know, like, we got to figure it out. So, because it looks bad, whether if we need to shoot it on a tighter, like, lens or whatever, because it just, I don't like that look. To me, film is all about illusion. You want people to believe that they can go up to their television and put their hand in the TV, or that they're immersed into it, which is why like 3D can be championed in a good way, like with Avatar. But the moment you start realizing those imperfections, it immediately snaps you out of the movie, and then you remember, oh yeah, I'm watching a movie, you know. And that's fair. That's like something I don't like. That's why, like, James Cameron, I've been watching a hell of a lot of stuff about James Cameron talking about Avatar 2, which, by the way, like, is fascinating. Like, if you're a filmmaker and you have spite over that movie, you got to get over it, and you got to go out there and you got to watch that shit, because it's really interesting.
I'm still convinced he's going to turn himself into a monkey by like the fifth film. He's already interviewing as a monkey. But I love Avatar too, don't get me wrong. That movie's amazing, but watching that interview is like, he's going to just ascend among all of us.
It's amazing. So I like what he did with the 48 frames per second, or high frame rate, I should say, because it's probably more like 120 frames per second. But is it used it in certain shots to make it so that the 3D, like one of the things a lot of people say they hate about 3D is they feel like motion sickness, because the glasses, what ends up happening is like you can see that waviness of it, and he said what that is basically it's like your eyes detecting the illusion, and then they're trying to break away from it, trying to snap out of that effect. And he's like, with the high frame rate, it actually prevents that from happening almost entirely, like it nullifies it. So that when you're wearing your glasses and even you have glasses on it, you don't get that disorientated feel that you're like not in the world anymore. So in certain moments of the high frame rate, he put it in there so that you wouldn't get that disorientation. And I was like, oh. I was like, that's really interesting, actually.
That is. Maybe that's what, because my wife Santana mentioned there's a couple shots that kind of pulled her, and maybe it was going for that. That's what it was then. That kind of makes sense, because I need to rewatch it to see what she was talking about, because I got really engrossed into it that I wasn't critiquing the film.
There are a few times where it happens where I notice something is off, but I don't know if that is the movie or the projectionist.
That's a good point too.
Because I know that a lot of people, because it doesn't happen often, they don't know how to set up the high frame rate a hell of a lot. Like they can get confused.
So then you get some jank out of that.
So then you get jank, and it's not done correctly. So, because I noticed about 2 moments that were a little fucky, and I was like, there's no hell in chance that that's the movie. That's got to be the projection. Yeah, because James Cameron is
perfectionist.
I fucking hate it. I hate it so much when people are like, Christopher Nolan's sound is wrong. He needs to go back and do it because he missed something. I'm like, you did not miss something. I'm sorry he didn't. Him and his team spent 4 years making that movie. And you're really going to sit there and tell me that every second they went through that track, you believe they missed something? I was like, are you a fucking idiot? No, the reason why the ship sounds like it's gonna fall apart and your theater sounds like it's rumbling to chaos and it doesn't sound clean is because it's the realistic sound that ship probably would make. If you were there, it's going to sound like nightmare. You know, it's not going to sound fun and clean and happy. That was like the one thing in Interstellar, like he fucked up on the sound effects when he's in the ship at the beginning and you hear like it wobbly and everything and it sounded all fucked up. I'm like, dude.
That's what you would hear.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, but it doesn't sound appealing when you're in the theater. I'm like, no shit, because it wouldn't be appealing in the ship. He's trying to immerse you into the fucking movie, dude. Like, and it's like, if it took me out of it, and I'm like, it only took you out of it because you're expecting it to be perfect, you know, when he's relying on the imperfections of it. Now, don't get me wrong.
To ground that.
You can have your own opinion and everything like that, and it's fine if you still don't get it, but don't act like they made a mistake and you're right. You have to always go in the opposite way. They knew exactly what they were doing. I just need to figure out why they did it that way.
And it's okay not to like
that.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's like, that's the direction they chose. And it's like, well, it wasn't pleasant to me. That's fair.
The end. It doesn't matter. But it's when they bitch and say, there's no way that guy wouldn't have known that was an issue, or no, he totally missed it. He was probably busy. I'm like, he was probably busy? What the hell do you mean he was probably busy? I was just like, he has people who are in charge of each department to make sure that shit like that does not happen. And then they're going to screen the movie 1,000,000 fucking times to make sure that they're not missing it.
Over and over and over again.
Swear to God, it's like some people think that like movies are just shot and then sent to a theater. Like, and they're done. It's just like, are you kidding me? And they're like, I don't think that way. And it's just like, then why do you act like that then? It's like, come on. It's like the thing with Avatar when people saw it and they're just like, you know, it's impressive, but it's not that impressive in comparison to Avatar 1. I'm like, when was the last time you saw Avatar 1? They're like, yesterday. I'm like, no, you didn't. Like, you did not.
I had just watched Endgame again, and then I watched Avatar, and I was like, holy shit, does Avatar hold up now? And then I watched Avatar 2, and it's night and day, and I was like, and Avatar 2 just blows Avatar out of the water.
No, it does. That was the thing. Is like, I saw Avatar 1, and then 2 days later, I went to go see Avatar 2, and I shit you not, when I watched Avatar 1, my mouth fell to the ground. I was like, holy shit. Does that motion capture look like Thanos? And that was fucking 9 years later.
Good.
I could not believe how good it looked. And then when I went to the theater with David to go see the movie in the IMAX, and it shows the first shot of Neytiri in the woods.
I know.
And it masks the first one. They did that on purpose so that you could have a shot-by-shot comparison of how amazing it looks.
And it's night and day, man. It's insanity.
Actually, to everyone out there, it actually creeped me out. It gave me goosebumps in like a creeped out way, because you can literally see the coarseness of her skin and like the imperfections. and everything looked like real, and it scared the shit out of me. And then another shot that everyone's like, how did he do this because it looks real, is when Jake is going on that first the fish kind of ride thing, and he's wrapping his belt around it so he'll hold on. If you look at that shot again, it is creepy how it looks like a hand. It looks like a real hand that's wrapping around a real belt, and the water is perfect, and it's just like
uncanny.
So when people are saying, this is what I think will happen with the evolution from going forward with with the way of water, I think that studios are going to champion the idea, especially with what's happening right now with Marvel, the idea of taking their time to make
the
these
animators
movies.
do what they need to actually do,
and to also give the filmmaker a little bit more of a breathing room and a little bit more of a break, and not making it so calculated on those executives.
Because it doesn't need it. You want to make art and high quality. You don't need to rush that. Because a formula will ruin it.
James Cameron just showed the world that taking your sweet ass time to do it correctly results in making the 4th highest grossing film of all fucking time. Okay? And everybody was skeptical. Even I'm a huge James Cameron fan, so you could say my opinions on these things are biased, but I go in and looking at it in different ways, but I won't just always give him the benefit of the doubt. But even I was like, it's going to be entertaining. I don't know if it'll be as good as I want it to be. No, that movie was fucking excellent, and it was entertaining and well written, and he upped everything correctly. That's why it does make me mad when people say that the script is terrible. I'm like, I actually almost champion it to be nominated for Best Original Screenplay because it is incredibly well done.
It's so good. The thing is rewatching Avatar 1 as well, my nostalgia is it's a really cookie cutter cowboy kind of film, and rewatch is you know what? There's some good changes to it that enough that I enjoy. And then you go to Avatar 2, and it's nah, the writing in this is freaking amazing. It's such a jump up.
Even James Cameron mentioned, he said, he was just Avatar 1 script was it was just a base so that we could showcase this world and this visual effects and heighten it. And then when it was okay, let's make another one, that's why it took so long. He sat down for 3 years and wrote these scripts and made sure they were amazing.
Really powerful story.
Yeah, and he focuses on this family dynamic, and it feels great. Literally, I was watching it, I was like, this is going to be the new fucking Lord of the Rings, you know? I was like, this is going to be awesome.
And here's the thing, piggybacking off taking time, the reason Endgame and Infinity War are as amazing, beloved as they are, is the 10 years of story building and build up of it to get to that point. It takes this amount of time to hit those levels.
If James Cameron just did that, but just didn't release anything
in between for the build up of it, that was the difference.
And he was waiting for technology to get even better and better and better. And now it does give me kind of goosebumps when you hear somebody like James Cameron say every now and all the Avatar movies now are going to be 2-year gaps because the technology is there.
It already exists. They've done all the groundwork.
Going back to thinking about 2009.
Yeah.
And everything like that, where he was okay, the technology now exists to be able to do what I wanted to do with Avatar 1, and then to go to Avatar 2, and with them realizing all the things that were difficult to do and hard to do. It's amazing when you go and watch Avatar 1, and the scene when Jake is running away from that, tiger thing, and then he jumps into the waterfall, and watching the water scene in comparison to what the water scene's
looks
looking
now,
at this, it is just crazy.
Oh, it's going to bug me. Is it a Night Stalker? I think it's called a Night Stalker.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
But the one thing as well that I thought was amazing is the Academy Awards are worthless and don't mean anything really, but every now and then you kind of wish that there would just be recognition for it. But the cinematography and the score of Avatar are so amazing. And the fact that they didn't get nominated is really fucking stupid. And then the fact that Top Gun didn't get nominated for Best Cinematography is also stupid because that movie found new ways to shoot in jets and do amazing shit
for aerial combat, it's a whole other ball game.
For practical effects, it's a whole other ball game.
So that's a joke too.
It is a joke. They basically found a way to turn jet chasing into doing a basic car chase for real. And it's the fact that they're able to do that now is unfucking real.
Crazy.
Because I have that movie on 4K and I watched it. For the first time I watched it yesterday and my mouth fell to the fucking ground when I was watching some of that shit. Mainly the ending. Have you seen Maverick yet?
No, I have not yet.
You gotta see it because the ending, I won't say anything, but the ending is okay, on the edge of your seat, literally. Like, I was watching it and I got like up and I was like, whoa, fuck.
Dressing.
And it's only like 5 minutes, like 10-minute action scene. It's not that long, or at least it only feels like it's 5 minutes, but maybe it's a bit longer. But when you're watching it, it is like a fucking, yeah, you're like, oh, fuck me, you know, like it's like, shit, this is so good. And then it made me mad that Joseph, I think his name is Joseph Kowalski, is not nominated for director. And don't even get me started with James Cameron not being nominated for director. Fucking Christ, it pisses me off so much. They have these 2 big blockbuster movies that literally brought people back to theaters.
Yeah.
They nominated them for Best Picture, but it feels like they did that because of just like them bringing people back to theaters and not on the technical achievements they made, because they skipped them out on like all those fucking technical achievements. The big ones that, like, don't get me wrong, if Avatar was nominated for visual effects, I think people would have rioted in the streets, because that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I'll say this. Now I'm thinking, I'm like, if Avatar doesn't win Best Visual Effects, I might actually be, like, burned down the Hollywood. Like, because, like, there's no way it won't happen, but the fact that it's only nominated for 4 Academy Awards is just, like, pathetic. It's like, what the hell's wrong with these people? Like,
I don't know.
Avatar 1 was nominated for 9 Oscars. And like, when you look at Avatar 1 and 2, it is like a 9-day comparison of the quality level.
I know. Everything just got better.
Is amazing. It's so much better.
It just gets better.
Yeah, and it's just like it all the way down to the score, everything. There's a 45-minute featurette on the score of the movie and how like James Horner died, and then like kind of like his really good friend who worked on Avatar 1 and stuff became the lead for the score. He's the one who composed it. It's 45 minutes long, and I recommend everybody watch it because it's absolutely fucking amazing. The way he talks about, the way that they focused on the score, the way that James Cameron's direction for what he wanted with the score, it's like, how in the fuck did the score not get nominated? It's amazing. Also, I really like that this is this is totally like on the base of just like opinionated, but I also really like the song that ends the movie off that was sung by The Weeknd. I think that's a really good song too, and I really like it.
Yeah, it was a good way to finish it off.
I was like, I wish that was nominated for the Oscar as well. I honestly was waiting, like, because I watched it, the announcements, because I was curious to see what they were picking, mainly because I was like, I hope Everything Everywhere All at Once gets like sweeps. I hope it gets nominated for a bunch of stuff, and I just wanted to hear them say Brendan Fraser's fucking name, because well, that and Key's name as well for Everything Everywhere All at Once. But when they started going through some categories and certain movies weren't in them, my eyebrows raised up to the point where I'm like, are they not going to nominate like Brendan Fraser? Are they not going to nominate like this shit? Because I was just like, what the hell is going on here? Certain obvious movies that you think would have been a shoo-in, not just to be nominated, but to win, aren't there. And it blew my mind. Like, I'm not kidding when I say that Avatar 2 should win Best Score, and Avatar should have won Best Cinematography, only to be neck and neck with Top Gun now that I've seen Top Gun. And maybe Top Gun would have taken it. But I was like looking at, because when you watch the last hour of Avatar, and it's like the night and the fire on the boat, and then the underwater shots and the lighting, it is like, it pisses me off a hell of a lot that how amazing it looks and how much people just don't give a shit. And it also goes back to like them not understanding, I think, the technology of it, because I think they see it and say it's all CGI. They just painted that in post and everything like that. It's like, do you not understand that a cinematographer has to go in there and literally shape that lighting just in a digital way? It's the same fucking thing. Like, it's the exact same thing.
Just in a digital setting as opposed,
I know that James Cameron agrees with it, because he doesn't like the word motion capture. He likes the word performance capture. And for me, I'll actually start calling it performance capture now, looking at the side-by-side. I send you guys them all the time, but there's side-by-side comparisons of their facial reactions to the CGI of it. Like, it's like from them shooting to them being covered in the CGI. All the way down to little twitches, nose flicks, and everything is captured and it's on there.
Frankly, it's an art in itself on that. It translates so beautifully.
It is literally, there's no longer any delay or missing feature of the performance. It is officially now just a performance. And as far as I'm concerned, and I said this, I was like, Sigourney Weaver should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actress for Kiri.
Yes, and she's amazing.
You know, and the only reason why they probably didn't is because they're like, it's not a real performance. It's all creating in post. I'm like,
that's what pisses me off on that too. Is you have the phenomenal acting, And then you have the team that works on to translate all of that on.
I know.
And it's like, do you guys, it's not less work. It's more work than ever to build this just amazing masterpiece.
I know. It's ridiculous.
Annoying. I don't think it's a takeaway. I think it adds to it, if anything.
Same. It pisses me off so much that like it's like they don't get it or something like that, or they're not watching the behind the scenes of it and really like sitting down focusing on it. But this is what I think is going to happen with the next one. I think that this next one that they're going to be making is going to be like the return of the king of this trilogy, and then 4 and 5 are going to start like a new type of trilogy.
Yeah.
And I think that the Academy might just be waiting, and people might just be waiting to see what the next one has, because we know that there's going to be more. And I think they're waiting for the next one because back in 2000, the early 2000s, they did kind of the same thing with the Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring was nominated for like 13 Academy Awards, and it won 4 of them. Because it was a fantasy movie and they don't like to honor that kind of shit, you know, we get it. But then when Two Towers came out, which is like just as good, you know what I mean? As some people think it's better, you know, I was nominated for 6 Academy Awards and it was missing a lot of stuff. And you're like, what the hell? Like, it's got like screenplay, it's got picture, it's got director, and it's got like the basic technical stuff. But where's everything else? You know, you're like, where's all the other shit?
Yeah.
And it wasn't there. And then like, I remember like my mom saying, she speculated, she was like, they're waiting for that next one because they know the next one's coming, and they're waiting because if the next one lives up to the hype, it's going to win everything. And then she called it like a year in advance because then it fucking won everything.
Honestly,
because it nailed it. So I think Avatar 3, when it comes out, if it doesn't even need to make it doesn't even need to be the number 1 in the box office or number 5 or anything like that. If it's really good, like a really good, undeniably good movie, and like a total like crowd-pleasing action film that like really kind of like concludes that arc, but then sets up for more things to come in the next ones, I guarantee you it will get nominated for like 13 Academy Awards and just win fucking all of them.
The thing too is Avatar 1 and 2 kind of follow the steps of The Lord of the Rings, because Two Towers is a smaller stake combat.
Yeah.
Just like Avatar 2.
Yeah.
And now we have the city, everything's getting set up for the third movie. It really is following that when you think about that.
Like Two Towers sets it up. Two Towers and Avatar have almost the exact same type of line at the end of the movie with the camera pushing into someone's face. Gandalf says, the battle for Helm's Deep is over, the war for Middle-earth is about to begin, and Jake says, I can't run away, I have to fight. You know, they have like the exact same type of ending, just phrased differently.
And the fighting, when I think about it too, it's both smaller armies type scenarios.
Yes.
It really is basically. It is and isn't the same movie premise. And I mean by beats. There's a lot of differences.
Avatar 2 is basically a remake of Avatar 1, just with more added in things to make the plot more interesting.
Yep.
That's why I don't understand when people are like, it's just the same movie and it's just the same as like, it's just meh. And I'm like, meh? The fuck? I'm like, okay, the script for Top Gun, no offense to anybody out there, but is meh. It's a basic script. It's the filmmaking of that movie that's amazing.
Impressive.
And then when I see that Top Gun is nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay, I just sat there and I was like, that's a fucking joke. Like, you know, I was like, no. Like, Avatar, if you're going to nominate that, you should have nominated Avatar over it.
And it's setting up some crazy shit. I really like
everybody is just mad at Avatar, I think, because they're so hard on it. You know what I mean? It's like, they're just there and they're like, it's supposed to be the best movie ever made. I'm like, most successful movie is not the same as best movie. You know, and a lot of people that say that are those fucking Marvel fanboys, where it's just like, dude, like if you're going to go off that logic, then Avatar is the best movie ever made. And he's like, no, it's not. Endgame's the best movie ever made. But no, because it's his number 2. Yeah, but they did that by re-releasing the movie in theaters to getting to that position. I'm like, yeah, but Endgame re-released itself 3 times before it finally beat Avatar. Avatar released itself once, and Avatar had every reason to re-release itself back into this last year, because it'd been 13 fucking years, and they said that it's the theater-going experience movie. So they wanted to suck you back into the world and remember what happened in the first one. And it just happened to make $35 million fucking dollars doing it, you know? Like,
for me, I love this too, because the people fight, and then I'm over here like, The best movie ever made, in my opinion, is The Princess Bride. There's like no flaw for me in that movie. It's just the best movie. It is the perfect hero's journey. It is the perfect romantic movie. It's just the best movie ever.
And then I'm like, yeah, and then I'm here going like, The Elephant Man's the best movie ever made, and I guarantee that movie probably made $1. Like, you know, like it's like that movie, no way. Maybe it was financially successful in comparison to its budget, but there's no way it's anywhere close. I can't even say it would be in the top 1,000 highest grossing movies of all time. There's no way, you know.
No, that's why I'm just sitting here giggling. These guys like me. It's like Princess Bride.
Modern day audiences are way too obsessed with how much money something
money
makes
and spectacle.
And that's what's so amazing about the Top Gun and Avatar is like they're spectacle movies. Like when you're sitting there, for two totally different reasons. You're watching Avatar and it's the engrossment of the world, and then you're watching Top Gun and it's the fact that you literally feel like you are almost POVing in a jet. Like it's fucking, it's terrifying. Like it is. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like there's scenes when like you're watching them turn and do shit and you're like, okay, this is legitimately terrifying.
We're gonna have to get VR and get you to do some flying simulators. This is basically what you're telling me right now.
I literally can't do VR because I get motion sickness and it makes me sick.
It's fine. I'll do it for you.
Yeah. Yeah, you do it for me. I'll watch the screen.
Freaking blast on that.
Puke. That's why if I ever make a movie that has like, it's like a point of view and everything and you see someone running around and I was the cameraman on that, you know I threw up. Like, so, yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, like, or I had to sit down for 20 minutes and I farted and almost puked myself. Like, that always happens when I get motion sickness. I will fart. It's like a gas comes out of my body in all areas, including my ears.
I love this. We got so off track completely from this.
I hope you guys really enjoy our Scream commentary where we're talking about like... We're talking
everything
about Rick and Morty and James Gunn.
Harley Quinn, James Gunn's DC, and then Avatar.
Remember, guys, in the end, these commentaries are supposed to give you education towards the movie, but also are designed to just be like background things, like you're
just
in a conversation with us. So if you're disappointed by the information that's being provided for you in this movie, I'm sorry.
Just go back and watch the original.
I was going to say,
high quality audio.
If you go back and watch, it's like you can't have everything. You can either go back and watch the original that has the information in it but bad audio, or you can watch this one that has good audio but is not really anything to do with
the movie.
Like every now and then
loosely.
They mention shit about the movie.
That's beautiful.
That is ridiculous. Oh my God.
Can't have both.
Sorry, gentlemen. Mr.ozProductions, our Yellow Brick Road skipping content is designed under the impression that you can't win everything.
Just some things.
We go into the realism. I like how he looks like Johnny Depp.
Eyes are awesome in that shot,
I kind of wish he got a bit more stuff. I love how overreaction that is. That's like Wes Craven was like, okay, you're going to get shot in the shoulder, and then we're going to throw you with wires.
Yeah.
Matrix style.
The fly backwards.
You know what movie I've been like literally craving to watch again for some reason? I don't know why. In The Matrix Resurrections. I don't know why.
All right,
weird,
all right.
eh? Yeah. I think I might sit down and watch the Matrix trilogy and then watch The Matrix Resurrections again.
That would be fun.
If I found that movie, if I found The Matrix Resurrections for like $15, I think I'd buy it and then kind of just every now and then go back to it, because I have a suspicion it's going to be one of those movies that, even though I don't like that movie, it's gonna be one of those movies like every couple of years I'm gonna want to put in, or maybe every year I want to put in and watch it again, and every now and then I'll like something a bit more.
Then grows on
it. A bit more. But I can guarantee you I'll never like the action sequences. The action sequences are really bad, but I might like more stuff.
It's okay. We're getting John Wick 4, and
literally in a month. It's coming out in March.
Any action sequences you wish could have happened will happen.
No, they'll be in there.
Oh, here's one we can pivot. I finally watched Bullet Train. I freaking loved that movie so much.
Because you mentioned you had watched it, and then I had because it's on Amazon Prime right now, and I had just watched it maybe about 2 weeks ago as well, and I liked it even more.
It's such a good movie.
It is a really fun movie. From that director, who is one of the directors of the first John Wick movie, out of all the movies he's made, Bullet Train is actually my favorite one. So he did he did Atomic Blonde, Deadpool 2, Hobbs and Shaw, and then he did Bullet Train. I might be missing something in there, but I don't think I am. And the thing is like Bullet Train's the most fun, like exciting, works with like how he shoots things and everything like that is not this. It's not the same as how Chad, the other director of John Wick, who went on to do all these John Wick movies, not like how he does things. He's the one who clearly wants to like play everything out and show these big spectacle scenes. So you see all the choreography and everything like that, and really knows how to edit it together. With David Leitch or whatever his name is, he likes the modern day Hollywood, like cutting all over the place stuff. Bullet Train fits perfectly with that because it's really hyper.
But he makes it work.
He makes it really work. But like Deadpool 2 didn't work for me because in Deadpool 2, I'm like, you already have Ryan Reynolds' like hyper stylized performance. So now when you're getting to the action sequences, I want to see everything played out, you know, like John Wick, because it would be hilarious. And then you have wonders of that, and he's saying stupid shit. Yeah. To me, it would work way better. And then Hobbs and Shaw, I don't know. That was like a big that was a flat line for me. I like Jason Statham a lot, and I like those characters. Like the idea of those characters coming together. That's fair. Is something that I didn't like, and I thought wouldn't work because you'd have to change one of them. They're both the stoic, angry villain. Yeah, they're both villains. And then Hobbs was just turned into a hero, and even Jason Statham's character now was turned into a hero because he saved his baby in the 8th one. Yeah. So it's like. So the moment that I knew, I was like, the moment they're going to introduce this, Hobbs is going to be like he's just going to be Dwayne Johnson again. He's just going to be Happy Rock. And then that's exactly what it is. And I'm like, no, this doesn't work. No, it doesn't work, you know?
The one you brought up, though, that I'm thinking is Atomic Blonde. I actually but I think I have to give it to Bullet Train.
Atomic Blonde is the second best movie.
That's a close contender, though.
It's just when you're watching Atomic Blonde, like for me, I haven't seen it ever since theaters, but the one thing I didn't like about it is that it drags, and the action sequences, again, I was like, this isn't as exciting as I was hoping it to be.
I'm going to have to rewatch Atomic Blonde, and then I think I'm going to have to watch Bullet Train just to see, but I think Bullet Train wins.
There is, in my opinion, Bullet Train wins, but there is a great moment in Atomic Blonde where she's like in a crowd of people trying to smuggle this guy through it. That's a great scene.
That is an awesome scene.
But then the movie kind of just like flatlines for me at a certain point, but it is held together between style and Charlize Theron is like really great in the movie. Like she was perfect.
I need to rewatch both to see how I feel on that. I think
I guarantee you it is either on Netflix or probably Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
So, yeah. See, like to me, it's just like them saying that he survived this. I believe it. Like I can't believe Billy because he gets shot in the head.
Yeah.
But like. For Stu to survive after getting stabbed in the kidney or something like that, and bleeding slowly,
quote unquote.
I could see that. But you know what they would have to do though? They would have to make him have like a slight deformity in his stance because getting stabbed in that area, he would be wounded. So him sitting, I mean, it just Matthew Lillard, him sitting a little fucked up and everything would be amazing.
He would pull it off so well.
He would do amazing. He'd be nominated for an Academy Award. He should do that. So if they, in this fucking new rebooted continuation of Scream, do not utilize bringing back Matthew Lillard, and I don't mean what they did in the 5th one to all you fuckers, bring him back. I don't mean putting a fucking chrome mask on him and then having him on a flamethrower and then it's not Matthew Lillard, it's just a cameo. It's like how Daniel Craig was a stormtrooper in Force Awakens.
It's like it's just a cameo.
Yeah, it doesn't even. It's just trivial. It's not even a cameo. It's just trivial. It's just did you know that was Daniel Craig? And you're like, well, nobody would have ever known because he was wearing a fucking mask.
Yeah,
and he didn't have any lines, so it doesn't. To me, that's not a cameo. It's not like a Bill Murray cameo. Kind of like
that's fair.
Like
Zombieland,
which
Zombieland 2 didn't do it for me, but my god, the end sequence with Bill Murray just killing all those zombies on a Garfield set killed me. That was my... I don't know if I recommend Zombieland 2, but at least the ending is worth it. Watching that fucking sequence with Bill Murray just killing zombies is god tier.
Zombieland 2 is better than it could have ever imagined, but it's still not that great.
No, didn't do it for me.
It's kind of stale. There's something about it just feels like
Bill Murray
uninspired.
steals it. It should have, Zombieland 2 should have just been a prequel Bill Murray killing zombies. That would have been one of the best things you could have done.
One of those movies that you kind of wish that they were just left alone totally.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because like I remember when Amazon first was starting up trying to get like TV shows in a streaming service, there was a Zombieland TV show that lasted like 5 episodes and it was awful. It was like god awful. Like it's terrible.
Now we got Rings of Power, Warhammer. There's a Fallout show in the works.
There's a Fallout show in the works. There's Rings of Power. There's Warhammer coming. They just announced.
I was gonna say, wasn't Gears of War something going on?
Yeah. Netflix is doing Gears of War.
That's right, Netflix.
Please God, get Batista. Give me that Dreamcast I was talking about.
You know what I mean? I'd be hyped for that.
And to all you out there, this is Scream related. It's not, but it's Dave Batista as Marcus Phoenix, and then the guy who's the Punisher in the Marvel
plays
show.
Punisher as well as Walking Dead.
Yeah, his name's John Berthel, I think, or something, or Brethel.
He's awesome.
He should be Dom.
He would be amazing.
And then obviously Terry Crews is Coltrane. Terry Crews could be 95 years old. He's still Coltrane.
Yeah.
You just cast
There's
him.
nobody that
nobody else can
be
do
better.
It has to be him.
It has to be him.
Personality and body, he is fucking Cole.
He is Coltrane.
He's like Coltrane. And
he better do the rap in the credits, just like in the first game.
He would demand it. His kid would demand it because his kid's a big video gamer.
Yeah.
Because he tried to be in Overwatch and didn't work out because his kid played the game. So, and then the last person's always up in the air. But the idea of getting like Ryan Reynolds as Baird or something, or somebody along those lines.
You just need somebody quippy.
Quippy, yeah, exactly. So get him, or I mean, Ryan Gosling is so funny in The Nice Guys that he could be Baird. Like,
why am I forgetting the actor's name? Sam something. He's in 7 Psychopaths. Why am I forgetting his name?
Sam.
I think the actor's name's Sam. Sam something.
Do you mean Colin Farrell?
No, it can't be Colin Farrell.
Or you mean Sam Rockwell?
Sam Rockwell, I think, is who I'm referring to.
The guy who's just like, an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. It's like, no, it doesn't. It leaves somebody with one eye. And he's just like, it's Sam Rockwell.
I think could pull off a Baird.
Yeah, maybe. I just can't imagine. He would be funny as like a private
or Carmine. Carmine, he could pull off.
Yeah,
too.
He would be pretty funny as like sequel Carmine. You know,
all right.
Yeah, it'd have to be sequel Carmine. And then Carmine 3 brother, the badass one, he would have to be somebody else. He'd have to be Keanu Reeves. So
that'd be kind of great. That would be actually. Funny. And then the joke could be he never removes his helmet.
Yeah, exactly. Or you get Carl Urban to be Carmine number 3.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay, you sold me on that, actually.
Be great.
Carl Urban has the 3. Perfect intensity for that.
Yeah, he would be perfect. And he can be funny, so he would be excellent.
Oh, he would be great.
Yeah, that's a win right there.
And then, Rock has to play.
Netflix, are you listening? Are you listening, Netflix? Okay.
These are the picks.
Yeah, Dwayne Johnson has to play...
why am I forgetting his name now?
Captain Yang or something like that. Whoever the captain is that gets just gutted by Ram, by General Ram.
Who you think is literally, as you're playing the game, you think he's going to be a staple. And
you're like, that guy's, and you do that, and having that shot of Batista watching him get stabbed would be perfect.
Be amazing.
Because everything about it, just transcending between movie to reality, would be perfect.
And it links just like Scream, big name actor, you think is going to be a huge part of it. Boom, plot twist.
Gone immediately. Like, it would be amazing, and it would make Ram a big threat.
Just kill,
he just killed one of the biggest actors in the world. And then, as I said, in order for General Ram, and if you can get him, you should get Kane Hodder, who is of course famous for Jason. He survives this, don't worry. Yeah, you can make it that he survives this, okay? Like, electrocuted,
burnt up a little.
Yeah, give him a little bit of the charred face, like the scars. He could survive that, guys. He could bring it back. That
not
to
permanent.
Me, as far as I'm concerned, that's still something that like isn't a big issue to bringing him back. So a TV falls on his face. Come on now. But with General Ram, Kane Hodder, who is the kind of the best Jason. He was Jason from 7 to Jason X.
Yeah.
Because the way that his walk as Jason, it's really all you need to do as General Ram.
Yeah.
And you just have to have that kind of like intensity, and he needs to be perfect as that. And then any of the major stunts that he has to do after, you can get somebody else in there to do them, because Kane is like 80 or something. But
the actor they got for the Predator and Prey could do it probably too. He's got the scale for it.
I'm almost convinced they're probably around the same height too. So like,
I think that would work too as a backup.
Yeah, it could be any Jack guy really. It doesn't matter. Just when you have Ram in his like shots, like his like main shots where he's not doing anything that requires
that intensity.
An extreme stunt that like a 74-year-old can't do.
Yeah.
Easily they should do that. Kind of like what they did with Halloween, where they got the original guy back to play him. But that's the best thing about that Halloween trilogy is Michael Myers is done perfectly. Like they captured Michael excellently, and in the way he walks and the roboticness of him, and then just like the character itself of Michael, or more so not the character but the presence of Michael is done perfectly. So for me, I'm like, Ram isn't really a character, he's a force, he's a presence.
Yeah, he's a force of nature.
So you just got to get somebody who can walk the walk. He does't even need to talk the talk. So you do that, and so Billy's coming back, yo. Like, no, but yeah, you do that, and I think Kane Hodder would be amazing, and for fans of horror, they would freak out. Like, they would freak out.
It'd be a pretty great nod to that.
Yeah, and don't make him CGI, but give him the makeup and everything like that.
That's the other thing. You don't need to CGI Ram.
No.
The thing that's great about Locust is they are human. Like, they're human enough you can make up
into the future, they're human. So, like, they're just genetic enginered humans.
Yeah, I was going to say they're biologically engineered humans.
So you just cast a bunch of jacked people and then smother them in makeup.
Do makeup.
Yeah. There's no reason.
I was gonna say why am I forgetting their names from Orville, the space vampires?
Oh, yeah, the Krill or something like that.
I think is what it is. I was like, that makeup, it's the perfect translation to Locust. Like, that style is perfect.
Yeah, that kind of coarseness on their skin, it's like you just have to do that with a bit of different change-ups.
Well, I'm not saying you just make them krill, but that style would be perfect.
Yeah, that's all you have to do. And then you just light it correctly. If you're going to give a Gears of War movie, I'm assuming it's going to be like $100 million.
Yeah.
So, like, you'll have the money to do it. And especially if you have a big
CGI
cast.
spectacle, give me my freaking corpser hand. Do that all up, but make the Locust grounded.
Yeah, make the Locust grounded. Do that. Oh my God, Scary.
This was our commentary on everything but the film we were watching.
Oh, you guys know this film. Leave a comment and tell us. That's a funny thing. For 25 years in the future, when like 10 people watch this, leave a comment on a trivial fact about this movie so that people can read the comments
and actually be
actually get educated. We need your help, YouTube community.
Time to help us out.
Give us a hand. Our ADHD went off the chains.
Heck yeah.
It was kind of funny. It was like whenever it went to another topic, we would go on it, and then if it came back to Scream, we would go to it for like 1 second and then immediately go back to something else. That's how it's done.
That's how you do.
Yeah, that's how we do it. I'm okay with it. It was entertaining. There was a lot of information given in this.
There was a shitload of info given in this.
You guys actually got a lot of information.
A lot of stuff to look into.
Yeah, and if this is like 10 years into the future, you got like a history lesson as well of shit that happened a decade ago.
Say elements of what's going on or current news.
So what I'm trying to say is that in 1 year, this is going to be a dated commentary.
Hell yeah. Just like the humor, I'm sorry. Hey, future kid, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Alex, I'm sorry you're in handcuffs from cancel culture because you said, you mistakenly said something.
We critiqued Velma.
Critique Velma. Everybody, that's the thing. Velma's brought world peace. It's like the end of Watchmen.
It actually has brought world peace.
It's literally like the end of Watchmen. Has no one made that yet with Watchmen, where they're like, we're going to stop you from doing that, and he's like, I already did it 25 minutes ago, and he could just have that be he aired Velma 25 minutes ago, and it already went to the world. And
Oz's big scheme was actually to make Velma to bring world peace.
Yeah. So, well, Warner Brothers, if you ever want to give us some money to create an adult version of Scooby-Doo that will do justice to the characters and just be a fun, adult mystery.
And revitalize, Matthew Lillard's freaking earned spot as Shaggy.
Do you know who would be perfect to write a Scooby-Doo movie now? Or even if it was just a show?
Who?
Rian Johnson, the guy who did Knives Out and Glass Onion. He would be good.
Oh, that would be fun, actually.
He would be good.
Especially when now I'm thinking about Knives Out. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. He would be good. He would be fun to do. And it could just be really simple.
Now I'm
hey gang, we've been invited to this, thing. Get Daniel Craig in there. Daniel Craig will be the guy that invites him to this mansion.
Yeah.
And he's just like, and give him like some weird accent again. Give him just the Texas accent.
If it was a live action movie that's like older crew, I would love to see like Chris Evans as Fred. Actually, would be hilarious.
There'd be some funny shit that you could play around.
Yeah.
Regardless of whatever you do, Shaggy has to be
Matthew Lillard. That's
Lillard.
not up for debate. But
I don't even care if he's 80. He has to be Matthew Lillard.
That could be one of the gags.
Velma is all over that. God, you should just get the
That's what drives me nuts too, is Velma is everybody has a different interpretation of Velma, depending on who you want to go, which show and stuff. So
I like the idea. There was this one that my friend Devin was in. He was only in a cameo. He played Beefy Jock. But there was one where I want to say Velma in that one was played by an Asian lady.
Yeah.
And I would be very okay with that. Like, I don't really care about, like,
that's what drives, like, the thing is when they did Velma's Black, it's like, fine, whatever. That part doesn't shock me because she's been, like, a kind of every ethnicity I can think of anyway.
Yeah, she's Indian. It didn't bother me.
Yeah.
It really didn't bother me. What bothers me in that movie is that Velma is like an unrelatable bitch, and she's like,
I still haven't watched it.
Toxic personality, and she doesn't come off as clever. Like, there's nothing about it that makes you go like, she could solve a mystery. That's why I thought it was the particular character was Velma, was because I was like, what? She's the one that's going to be able to solve it,
deal with,
and everybody else is going to have their own
obstacles.
Yeah,
and stuff.
They're going to have their own place in it. You know what I mean? And it's like that's why it's Velma, because in a realistic approach, she would be the one
doing everything. Literally everything.
And everyone's gonna fuck it around.
Mystery Incorporated already does all that, though.
but the thing is, you can't make the other characters totally worthless. They all have their play, you know what I mean? It's a really good idea to still make Shaggy and Scooby be like the distractions and everything like that, and it's a good idea to still have Fred be the leader. Fred should have been the most likable person out of the whole group that brings them together.
When I watched the trailer, I was shocked that they made him into a douchebag.
Yeah,
it's like, what are you talking about? Fred's like the actual soul of the gang.
The only one that you can get away with having that douchebag to good arc is Daphne, because she's like a preppy girl. But you need to resolve that quickly, and you need to make sure that you establish that Daphne has good tendencies. The best way to do it is to showcase her kind of making fun of somebody in like a bully way, but then at the end of it, kind of giving a helping hand. That like it's all for show and it's not for
weird. Yeah. Here's a weird one. Sing 2, the new character they introduce is this really arrogant, preppy the wolf girl.
Yeah.
And then you find out, because it's misguided and bad parenting, she's not a bad person. It's just she's been given a shit hand essentially, and then turns around. That's how you do her character arc.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best way to do shit like that. So I don't know. To me, I like that Velma show just fails like on every level of. As a reboot,
and it's ignited all sides of the spectrum on its hatred.
It shouldn't have even been a Scooby-Doo thing. It should have just been a show.
Its own thing.
Yeah, it should have just been its own thing.
If they really wanted, just connect it to Scooby-Doo by saying it's in the same universe as a joke and then move on.
But they couldn't even get Scooby-Doo in it. That was one thing.
That's also one that shocked.
I thought they chose not to put him in it for the realism aspect of it, but no, that was just a marketing gimmick. They literally, Warner Brothers refused to give them Scooby-Doo because
they
it was
knew
going
it was such a bastardization.
Yeah, they knew that it would like basically like sully Scooby. Scooby-Doo is too much of a money grab to make to have any of that shit ruin on it. So you can't do that. And as far as I'm concerned, all the characters are so separated from what Scooby-Doo and the gang is.
Yeah, it is.
And as far as I'm concerned, you'll never
done any damage.
It hasn't damaged them. I will never think of Velma when I watch Scooby-Doo, Ari. I'll just tell you that right now. And I will never think of Velma
anywhere. And that's
anywhere.
what drives me nuts too. Mystery Incorporated Velma has flaws and stuff and drama. I just need to rewatch that show.
Should have just rebooted that.
Honestly, yeah. Well, no, they don't. That show's perfect in its own way.
Yeah,
it perfectly bleeds back into the original series.
Just like our commentary.
Hell yeah. Something Matthew Lillard. Scream.
Have a good
Bye.
one, guys. Dementia.
I thought you were going to say dementia.
Dementia.
That's where it clips out.
What are we watching?
Well, what's this again?